This meeting is now called to order, and Meredith will go over the remote meeting procedures.
Okay, so I'm going to be sharing my screen. I think everybody who's on remotely has seen this except for Fred. So this is both for people who are attending remotely right now, as well as people who might be watching live stream over ORCA Media. I'm going to get in your space in just a minute, just a tiny bit, Richard. And I'm going to tweet something so that people can actually see that link. There we go. Okay, so for anyone watching tonight's meeting via ORCA Media, you can participate in the Development Review Board discussion through either video or telephone access options. You can either type this link into your web browser, and I'll get a notification that you want to join the meeting through my email, or you can dial this phone number and when prompted, put in this meeting ID. And again, I'll get a little email or a notification that you want to get into the meeting. If you have problems accessing the meeting, please email me at mcrandall@montpelier-vt.org. I will be monitoring my email throughout the meeting. For those attending via Zoom, turning your video on is optional. And if you're having issues with sound quality, actually turning off your video can make a big difference and make sure that we can hear you and you can hear us. For everyone attending, please keep your microphone on mute when you're not speaking. This will help reduce background noise. And if you have questions or otherwise wish to speak and haven't already been called on by the chair, please raise your hand, or you can use the raise hand button on your Zoom toolbar, and then the chair will call on you. Please note that the Zoom chat function should only be used for troubleshooting or logistics questions. If you have a question, if anyone has a question or comment about an item on the agenda, if you're on via Zoom, please raise your hand. If you're here in the audience, again, also raise your hand, and then you can come up to the podium with the microphone to talk. In the event the public is unable to access this meeting, it will be continued to a time and place certain. I'll now hand the meeting back over to the chair.
Thank you. DRB members, let's introduce ourselves, maybe starting in the top right-hand corner there, Rob.
Rob Goodwin, Vice Chair, DRB.
Great. Joe?
Joe Kiernan, DRB Board Member.
And then over here at the end.
Evan O'Connell, DRB member.
Meredith Crandall, staff.
Chair Allen, Chair.
Catherine Burgess, member.
Great. So we have 2 applications tonight. I feel like if we are tidy with our time, that we can probably get through both of them tonight in a fairly decent manner. I guess let's is everybody raise of hands for people who are here for 172 River Street? Okay.
And then Fred remotely.
Okay. Well, I mean, unless there are other comments, let's just get started on that.
Well, approval of the
Oh,
agenda.
I have that starred so that I would remember that. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda? Great. So, for testifying tonight on what?
You have to vote.
Oh, I don't want to do the approval thing, okay? Sorry. Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second in favor. All those in favor of approving the agenda?
Aye.
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 Those not in favor? Good. Solid there.
Sorry, I got to
No,
read the minutes.
No, totally fine. Okay. So for people who are going to be testifying, it's the 172 River Street. If and Fred, will you be testifying also?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
You can-
Only if I have to add
yeah,
something.
may as well. If you
Okay.
think there's a possibility you'll have say anything,
I'd like to get
I
you
gotta
sworn.
swear you in.
Okay,
Yeah,
go ahead.
I gotta swear
Yeah.
you in.
So
That's
anybody who is planning on testifying for 172 River Street, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Great. If you could just do a very brief introduction, I just think this is a pretty straightforward one, and then we'll go to the applicant so he can sort of bring us through his process.
Yeah.
Great.
So this is some changes at the Rub-a-Dub car wash out on River Street. And I don't know if the DRB has ever seen this project before, because it previously was a permitted use. And it's been there for decades at this point. But in the 2018 zoning changes, the car wash in this zoning district was changed to a conditional use. So because there's some changes to how that use is done and because the building is getting bigger, I had it come here before the board because I'm not allowed to approve those changes.
Okay. Your name? Mr. Pater, great. Do you want to just give us a little quick description of what you've got going on there and sort of your process of what you're planning on doing?
Yep, we have 5 bays right now,
Uh-huh.
4 self-service and 1 automatic. And we'd like to offer one more choice for our customers. So we're taking out 2 of the self-service bays and we're gonna add in 1 more automatic. To do that, I needed to add 6 feet to the rear of the building for 1 bay, basically from me to Alex here. That's as wide as we have to go. But we're reducing from 5 bays down to 4 bays. But we also think it's going to make it a nicer project, nicer building, nicer property.
Okay.
We're not encroaching on the road. We're
Right.
only moving that 1 bay that has to be 6 feet longer just out. And we're going at an angle, so it won't even be 6 feet out. It'll be slightly less than that because it's going to be diagonal. We'll line up the way the other building is.
So the things that I just wanted to make sure that we had covered them, and it looks like it. And this is not something that I actually knew before reading this tonight, is that car washes are required to contain all their wastewater on site and prevent it from running off into the property or municipal storm drains, which makes sense. So is that any of that configuration going to change with the new bay?
No,
No.
still going to have the water going the same way it always did.
Okay.
Oh, Alex, can you just pull your microphone a little
Yeah.
closer? Just
Where do you contain it?
Well, the water goes,
Or do you clean it and then discharge?
yes, no. Yes and no.
Sorta.
We got, there's 3 collecting pits. So you got the floor where you wash your car and the dirt goes on the floor. That catches the bulk of your mud. Then you got the dirty water, which goes into the drain. And there's another drain there, which catches your mud. And then you goes into a big pit, which collects 90% of your mud. Then it goes up and goes to another pit where it collects even more. And then it goes out into the sewer.
So water does go into the sewer, but it's just been cleansed of particulate matter.
And we have the P&P septic, used to be the city, but P&P septic comes down and keeps those tanks clean.
Do you recycle the water at
No,
all? No, it's a one-shot deal.
correct.
Are
No.
there chemicals?
No,
No?
no, everything is approved for the state to be used.
I'm just curious, little relevance to this, but the other car wash up on Pioneer Street,
Laser?
Laser, right? That has a collection system and a reuse, doesn't it?
I think they're similar to me, how it's done, where it collects and collects, and then they have P&P septic come every few weeks, same as
Okay.
I do.
Sorry to get distracted, but I've
But
always wondered about
It
that.
pretty much has to be done.
Nobody recycles the water.
Okay.
We used to recycle the water. We tried to do that in our original building and you can't clean the cars with milky water when it's rinsing the car. It just doesn't
We have a
work.
lot of dirt roads in Vermont.
Yeah. Bulk.
But it means that that milky water is also going into the sewer treatment plant. Or stormwater system.
Stormwater system as it has and as it does for all car washes, and that is not something that we can change here.
Yeah, and the cleaning requirements are per the state on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
And
it's.
keep in mind, you're getting rid of 2 bays and adding only 1. And so that should be less water use.
I didn't mean it to be an oppositional question. It was a curious question.
Okay, sorry.
Trying to help.
Okay. So the other thing that actually, that is kind of a tricky spot where you are there, although it seems like the, traffic has worked actually pretty well there in terms of, it's a big, huge curb cut, but there's time enough to get out of the bay and not be in the road.
We've owned it for 35 some odd years, close to 35 years. We've never had an issue. And the people that owned it before us had it even longer, so, I mean, there's been no issue with that.
Yeah, no, it seems like it's set up
So-
pretty well.
You don't want cars cutting in front of each other trying to get out, because if you're kind of sheltered, you don't have a view left or right. You stick your nose out and somebody's coming that way along with your traffic, it would be a very bad situation.
So that's why the curb cut is the entire extent.
Yes, if you
So-
you don't have a lot of room between, it was built
Right.
way back when, you don't have a lot of room between the road and that.
Right. And way back when they didn't have suicidal bike lanes.
Exactly. Glad you said that.
The one below my house is painted green to cross traffic.
I know I did. That was my one point of humor in reading all of this is that you probably didn't need a bike rack. I'm like, at a car wash? Probably not. Yeah.
I do what I can with the regulations we have to help guide the discussion.
Staff might want a bike.
Right,
Be a reason
right.
for the bike rack.
With the kid on his back at Casella transfer station.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, so goodness.
Okay, I guess that little note in my staff report about the Casella transfer station wasn't 100% accurate. We'll get there. We'll get there.
Okay, landscaping, requirements, there's really nothing being changed there. So trees seem like they'd be a really bad idea. The lighting is the same except for one, light that's gonna be moved in the back between the two bays, is that correct? There's
Yeah,
the
'cause
back,
we put, so they would light up the 4 bays. We had 2 lights to light
Yeah.
up that area. Yes, that will be changed. We're
Okay.
probably gonna go similar to a down drop light, like at the other one, LED type style, something like that.
okay, so,
To be honest, we didn't even get to that part of picking out a light for that, but we're gonna make it look good. We're gonna do both the same to make it look good.
and that's an existing light that's there right now.
Yes,
And is that shielded?
yes.
Okay, great.
It's also in the back of the building.
It's in the back of the building. It's
Right.
not in the front of the building.
Okay. And, I know this is, I just wanted to check my geography here. It sounds like the back of your lot is fairly well wooded.
It's got some cedars that just sort of block off that back area.
Right, so you can't, there's really no vision sight, anything through there.
There's nothing back there. There's no buildings. There's no, if there are buildings, would be the sheds that are down lower, but there'll be no light that'll get
Okay.
to them because of the trees.
Great. Do the other board members have questions? Anything else they wanted to bring up?
Yeah, I just had a couple. So as far as the technology of the washing, anything changing as far as like speed or something that would be maybe more desirable for people to use or or whatnot?
It
Like,
froze.
Well, that's one of the reasons why we're putting another one in there is to give you another option for your choices. So
Okay.
you'll have one that'll touch your car, one that will not touch your car, and then you'll have 2 that you can do yourself if you don't wish to go through that. Did I answer your question?
that does. I guess the second part of it is I think there's a pretty good conversation back and forth with Public Works about traffic and your knowledge of the site about traffic. I think I just want to do our diligence here to make sure that 2 months from now we don't have traffic queuing going into the street. Any issues, and I just didn't know if you could maybe expound upon your your communications with Public Works and just like why you think that that won't be an issue.
Corey and I had a discussion about that because that was one of his concerns. He brought it up to me. And by the way we're doing the bill, you're gonna actually gain 3 extra parking spaces for cars or stacking spaces, which we think is good. And we're gonna try to work it so we can have double lines so that we can get, if their cars do get there, we'll be able to try and funnel them as traffic into the correct lanes where they want to go. So it's, so it'll be more, regular, more in line with everything you want. But in all the years, like I said, we've never had, the cars go into the streets, no matter how busy we've been. And we're reducing the number of bays to 4 instead of 5. And self-service take long time to wash your car. So we think we're going to speed things up.
It's different than the other car washes up the street because they have free memberships.
Hmm.
And people will sit there and wait in line. And it's also a conveyor belt system. So it just keeps going. So cars can keep inching along. Ours is more of a stop, wait 6 minutes to 8 minutes. Next person goes in. Most people, when they see more than 3 or 4 cars in line, they just go and they come back another time. So we don't ever accumulate the road lines.
That sounds accurate. Rob, anything else on that one?
I believe.
I guess, yeah, just one more.
We think we're frozen again.
Yep.
So a touchless car wash, you don't think that could be, more popular, and all of a sudden you have a bunch more use than you've had in the past?
It's all based on time. No matter how much you want to see a lot of cars go through, I can only get maybe 10 through in an hour.
Yeah.
So it's not like you can do it, like Fred said, one after the other every minute or whatever, to send people through. So that's the way it lines up. And with the extra, I think 3 to 4 spaces we'll be able to get by having them line up a thing. That gives us even more room for stacking. But even today, if you went by the car wash today, the line went right down, Laser was very busy and they had it right to the end of their driveway. And you went by our place and we were busy too. We had, a couple of cars in the self-service bay and 3 cars or 4 cars even in line for the automatic. I had room for another 5 cars, not to mention the one we could have lined up in front of the self-service. We had no problem getting that line in on such a crazy busy day. And it doesn't get any busier than right now during mud season. So we've gotten a pretty good track record. We haven't had anything ever get into the roads that I've never been called once in 35 years of doing this, of traffic getting into the road. And I have no plan on it doing it now. And I have 2 places in Barry, one on the north by Granite Museum. And that's my smallest lot. And it's actually built very much like what we want to do here in Montpelier. 2 self-service and the same 2 style automatics, a laser and a soft touch. And even that place doesn't have the cars get in the road. So I think we've been pretty good about that. They move through pretty good.
Great, thank you. That's helpful information for me. Thank you much.
You're welcome.
The other things here, is the changes in the neighborhood. That's the last sort of criteria that we need to look at, and that is to make sure that that the impacts of the use shall be consistent with the neighborhood, especially with respect to noise, hours of operation, other features that define the area's character. And the application, or actually Meredith's report, mostly clears that up. I think the project will decrease the number of wash bays at the facility. They're going to be closed, which should actually be quieter. And it is essentially the exact same purpose that it has been, so that I don't feel like it's changing anything a lot. Do other people have other thoughts on that, on matching the neighborhood concerns?
It might be useful for you to just elaborate briefly on the noise question. Is there anything?
She
we
hit
should
it on the
add?
head.
Yeah.
Self-service are the same as they've always been, but there'll be 2 instead of 4, so that'll be better. And then the automatics will both have new doors put on, which will also reduce the noise level.
Thanks.
Also, the new automatic we're putting on is a brush unit, and it's significantly quieter than the high pressure unit next to it.
Great, thank you. I would entertain a motion. Oh, I'm sorry.
Meredith sent around a late email.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's for the next application.
Yeah. Okay, I was like, I didn't think about this now.
Next one.
So, if there's no further comment from the board, I'll, make the motion to approve the project at, 172 River Street, in its entirety.
Okay, do you want a little more official reading? Is that Meredith? Are you good with that? Okay.
Yeah, it's the motion itself doesn't go
Okay.
into the decision,
Okay.
so it's fine.
So we've got a motion. Do we have a second?
You can't second it.
So helpful though, really. Thank you. So a second from Alex. Great. Any further discussion? Okay, let's do it by roll call. Alex, how do you vote?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Catherine?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. So that's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Thank you. a
Official
wonderful night.
decision, official decision will be the written one. And because there were no conditions on approval, once the decision is finalized and signed, we'll contact you when we've got that and the permits. We aren't relying on mail too much these days for anyone local. So I will probably email you guys when it's ready and somebody can come pick it up instead of us having to send it certified mail and hope that somebody catches you to sign it.
I got my address on there. You got
Yeah.
My brother's address. One of us
Yep.
will get it.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thank you, Meredith. Thank you for all your help.
You're
Bye-bye.
welcome. Thank you.
Okay, our next applicant is 378 East Montpelier Road.
Yeah, it's, I mean, it's not very substantive. You guys have that, Kathleen?
Oh, yeah.
Or sorry,
Oh,
Catherine.
yeah, I didn't see the email.
That's it.
Yeah,
It's
it's-
very short.
It's very, very short. If for some reason that's not working, just let me know. I can always plug it into my laptop.
Okay, first I'd like to swear in the applicants and anyone who would like to give testimony during this. So if you can please raise your right hand. If you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, under the pains and penalties of perjury. Excellent, great start. Okay. Quick overview, Meredith, and we'll let the applicant run with the description.
So I'm just gonna do more of a procedural overview.
Perfect.
The application includes construction of an addition, and that addition is large enough to trigger major site plan review. I'm not allowed to do major site plan review, even if there's nothing really controversial about it. It's one of those things that the DRB is required to approve. I don't see any really red flags for this. There's a few little things in the staff report,
Mhm.
but that you have to make decisions on, but otherwise
Okay.
not crazy.
And for the record, could I get your names?
John Gay with Casella Waste Systems.
Okay,
Brian Bodwin with Sanborn Head and Associates.
great. Thank you so much.
I go by Joe.
Okay.
Just
Um,
confuse things a little bit.
if you could maybe give us a brief overview of what your plan is, and then maybe we can go through the application and just clarifying some of those spots.
Yep. So we are proposing to replace the existing administrative offices at our facility that was destroyed this summer, in July, with flooding that we had. So essentially the building was rendered totaled, and we started to work down the path with Meredith and the city on a replacement office for the staff there. And what we're proposing to do is move the location out of the floodway. It was obviously in the floodway. So it's moving, I guess, further north and east, and will be directly adjacent to the existing structure that's there. I keep referring to the
Sorry, Brian, are you doing the share screen? You need to do a share screen.
Oh,
so
I thought I was sharing.
remotely so that Joe
You got it.
can see it. And then it should fill the screen.
It says it's disabled.
Oh, you know what? I think that's a security thing. So hold on one second. Sorry. City council. Just allow all participants to share screen.
Now it's working. Maybe not.
Well, it will be eventually. Meredith can also share from here. So
It's
that's
just sharing some other
just let,
stuff.
let her know what you need to have shared and she can share it for you, right?
Yeah, I mean, I can pull, if you're just pulling it up from the application, I can do that. You should be able to.
Yeah, it's just saying host disabled participant screen sharing. If you see it on the
Okay.
screen.
Sure.
It was in two different places. Try that one.
Yep, that did it. Why it's not
Okay, where were we?
showing.
We were on talking about moving the building.
Did you close it by accident?
Could have. Hang on.
It just says. Sorry, Joe.
Try this again. Sorry.
It's okay.
There we go.
That's open. Now you gotta share screen. Yeah. There you go.
Fantastic. So I think there's some value to having the site plan up.
Yeah,
As
for
we're
sure.
kind of walking through it. The gray building that you see in the cutout is the existing building. And of course, the blue with the Casella logo, it would be the new office. So we are proposing for the replacement offices to be a bit larger than the prior office space. We had for years rented space from Chuck Haynes and still do, but what we want to do is just get everybody moved into our own, office. The proposed office would be 3 stories. The second and third levels would have the administrative functions, the offices, conference room, bathrooms, typical office space. The bottom floor, we would have access to, we'd like to once in a while pull out a grill and cook lunch for the drivers and the staff. And, so we want to have access for storage and things like that. So that's what the bottom floor would be, full elevator access from the bottom floor to the second and third floors. Yeah, I think that's essentially it. Unfortunately, we had the issue with the flood. And so, we're looking to move to the next chapter and increase the size of the office a bit and get everybody together in one location.
Do people have questions? I mean, do we want to just start going through this? See if I can find this here. No, actually, I think I wrote it on your comments in the application. I had just a generic question. I didn't, I've never seen the term before. What is, how do you place, in addition, backfill material will be placed in 1 foot compacted lifts to minimize.
That's the flood hazard stuff. I had to include the
Okay.
whole cover letter.
Right.
A whole bunch of stuff at the beginning of that cover letter all has to do with river hazard area regulations that
Would it
I
be,
have to deal with.
would it be fair? if Somebody told me though.
I can answer that.
Oh, yeah. I'm
Thanks.
just letting you know why you haven't seen it before.
Right. I was like, so, but at any rate, I just was not.
All that
familiar
means
with the
is
term.
it's related to when you build a building, when you're
Mhm.
placing fill, whether below the building or around it.
Yeah.
You want to do that in what's called structural lifts, and to do so, you have to compact it in 1 foot lifts. and then you test it, then you put another 1 foot in, then you test it.
Okay.
Make sure that you're reaching certain
Thought that I
compact
was not familiar
requirements.
with the term. Okay.
Yep,
Thank
hold up the
you.
building and the surrounding areas.
Yeah, I would just explain why, don't feel weird about not knowing.
I was
Trust me,
like,
I've
I
had to
just
learn
have
a
no idea
lot
what that is.
in the last year. I have
Okay,
learned enough.
go back to this. So it sounds like you're pretty much all set with setbacks and you're not hitting any new borders or anything, so that's good. This is the first application I've seen with that whole river hazard piece in it,
Yeah.
so that's kind of was interesting to follow. And that is not something that isn't in our jurisdiction.
Yep, and I actually took, if you've gone and pulled it from the pending applications page, there was more river hazard stuff in there. I
Right.
actually pulled a lot of it from here.
Right, makes sense.
But I thought that leaving some of it in where there was some context made sense, and I wasn't gonna cut up the cover sheet. That didn't make sense at all.
Yeah,
The cover
excellent.
memo.
Going through it here, it sounds like the erosion control plan is a fairly substantial part of this. And was there a graphic on this? The erosion control?
I mean, I think not really. It was,
Yeah, this project's below 1 acre in size, so they don't need to have a formal erosion control plan.
Okay, all
They
right,
just have to follow the Vermont rules for stormwater
Okay.
management during construction.
and there's a large area of disturbance, but it's all pretty flat.
right, so that doesn't, the slopes things nice too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so it didn't trigger like a big formal plan, but there's notes in there about, I think, in the cover memo about the fact that there will be, erosion control measures put
Okay.
in place, because they still have to follow the basic
Right,
standards under the zoning regs.
okay. The applicant's getting a state stormwater water permit, so we're good there. And it looks like the Department of Public Works was fine with that as well.
Yeah,
my
so that
understanding.
was that email that I sent around to all the board members, and I give you a copy, Brian, when you came in, that I did get this afternoon. Final written comments from Department of Public Works that basically they don't have any issues. The DPW will work out final details of utility connections through the utility public works permitting process. And that Kurt Monica, the director, just asked that there be a note stating the applicant shall work with the DPW to obtain the necessary permits
that-
related to those connections.
That could be a condition on the decision or just a note.
It can
Okay.
be, it can be a finding of fact, in the decisions that I can find in there. It doesn't need to be a condition. If the board feels like it needs to be a condition, it can, but I mean, they
Right.
have to get those permits. So we usually try not to condition a zoning permit on obtaining other permits.
That makes
It's
sense.
usually causes confusion.
Yeah. And I could
I
see
might
that.
add too that the existing structure had a full municipal water and sewer service as well.
Yeah. Um,
I have a process question. This is more for Linda, for Meredith on this around stormwater. Is there anything we should be aware of? Any difference of the process when it's a river hazard area around stormwater?
No, because the river hazard area, as a whole, it's not your standard stormwater, right? It's a whole separate situation that is really more about life and safety and reducing property loss during flood events.
Okay.
And so your stormwater, where does the water go after it, falls off a building isn't the situation so much as what happens when you have too much water coming up from somewhere or other.
That makes sense.
Um,
That's helpful clarification.
Yep.
Parking was fine. I understood that being. What?
You do, except for the bike rack.
Oh,
You
right.
do have, the board has the option may require bicycle access and storage.
I suppose it's a little more living than the car wash, but not much. Yeah, I'm okay with that bike rack. Yeah. Do you think it's? I mean, and there's also plenty of space on the site, so if somebody did want to ride their bike over there, it's not like there's no untrafficked way where you can took your bike for a little while, I believe. So the parking moved, basically. It's the same number of sites, is my understanding.
That's correct.
It's parking moved from, and there isn't really a front, given the street frontage, that you're not on the street, kind of. You have your own, right of way in there. So existing parking to be relocated around to the side of it. Is that where you're gonna move it to?
I do have it up on the plan. If you
Okay.
want to see it, I can highlight it here. So this
Yeah.
is existing office building. You can
Okay.
kind of see the distance. It's off this
Yeah.
is the maintenance garage.
Yeah.
This box here
It's the new one.
is where the new space is going to go. So the existing spaces we're here
Yeah.
and here.
Mhm.
And so they're basically moving as we get, just happened.
It was probably a wire connection with everything. It may have also
Yeah.
just been the projector.
That's right. So basically, those parking spots moved to the front of the building.
To the front of the
So you can see
building.
this orange square here. That's where the old office
Okay, thanks.
is.
That's helpful. Yeah, so in as much as you have a front to your building.
And it looks like there's a accessible spot. right
Yeah,
up
there's a
front,
handicap
too.
spot
Yeah.
right up here. There's a handicap ramp that approaches from this end of the building to the first floor.
Right.
And so that's where the handicap spot is.
Meredith, this question is for you, I think. When you're looking at the total impervious surface, does this access road also count or not? I just wondered that.
I mean, the access road is technically off the parcel, right?
Right.
That's
What
an
road are you
easement.
talking about? There's
yeah,
an easement.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yes,
an easement and.
So you wouldn't be responsible for that?
No.
Yeah, okay,
it's
so
'cause
that's
that's
not
technically
calculated,
a
You're
different
talking
parcel.
about this right here.
Yeah, that's technically
Yeah.
a different parcel.
Okay.
Right?
right?
Is my understanding based on where the property line is drawn there.
That's my understanding.
Yeah. So that's,
It's shown as an easement.
Yeah.
That's what that hatch is for. So.
Okay,
yeah, because it's by all the coverage is by parcel.
okay.
And this
I
is
think
all
that's
surveyed.
Shirley and Haynes.
No, it's just.
Oh, it's just, okay.
Yeah.
Haynes, just yours, okay.
Thanks. Okay.
I have a question. The transfer function and the recycling centers, that remains untouched?
Yeah.
Okay. it's
Yeah,
not moving anywhere.
unchanged. The drop off, the municipal or the residential drop off is unchanged.
Right.
One thing that I would like to touch on is our landscaping plan.
Sure.
And I think there's a map for that as well, right? So one of the ways that you covered to get the appropriate amount of impervious surface was to add some garden beds. Is that right?
Garden fence.
Beds.
Yes, beds. Yes. So this whole area here is the landscaping area
Okay.
to the front of the building. And then they're planting trees that got washed away during the storm. They're replanting some trees along this riverbank. So that's the landscaping for this project.
Did you have trees there before?
There were.
There were
Along the river or next to the building?
along the river.
Yeah.
So that the flood took those all out. Okay. Just wondering about that.
Yeah, so you've got the big area there that's also around the stormwater
Yes.
situation. And then you've got between the parking and the building and then on the west
Right
garden
here.
too,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Okay.
And if you look back at this sheet, it might actually be a little clearer. So everything in this light green.
Yep.
This is all landscape area.
Okay.
And so this is the stormwater treatment feature that's in the middle of it.
So in 100 words or less, how exactly does that work?
100 words or less. This is primarily for rooftop treatment.
Okay.
So there's going to be a rooftop drain that drains into this little garden swale, if you will, and into what's called a biofiltration treatment practice. And
Okay.
what that has in it is basically there's baskets that are buried below grade that have basically they're wide open. And above that, you put in filter material. And above that, some sandy material. So what happens is the material that the water, as it flows down into that treatment system, migrates through the sand, gets cleaned, gets collected into those catch basins, if you will, below, and then gets discharged to a stormwater culvert.
Okay. Thank you.
Did you count?
I was thinking you were pretty good there, that you got under. I thought that was reasonable. I learned so much about it. Okay. So, just to clarify also the garage, that's a maintenance garage to the right of that. And that is going to, those two buildings are going to actually be joined, or there's that doorway now through the two of them?
There is gonna be a doorway, from the office into the shop, yes,
Okay.
but I believe that the buildings are actually separate.
It's an addition, but yeah.
It depends which regulations you're looking under as to which accounts.
I must say, Meredith, I also really appreciate the number of regulations you had to review this by.
Oh, you mean the fact that there's 2 sets of zoning regulations that apply to this application? Yes.
That's what I meant. Okay, so another thing that I think would be good to just do a quick review of is lighting. So we've got a lighting plan up here, I think.
Second. There's a couple, but this is the one for the new building.
Don't make things harder.
Okay. So what are we looking at here exactly?
So this is the new office space.
Yep.
And these WP numbers are all affiliated with a light. So
Okay,
WP2s on each side and WP3 here and here. So, and then there's another light that's being proposed in front of the maintenance garage along the walkway.
and how does this vary from the existing lighting that is on the is that building still there? The office that was previously there?
It's still there, but we are hoping to demo it next week.
Is this more lights? It's a bigger building,
Yes.
so I would think that it would be more lights.
We're well below the total lumens though for the
Okay.
property.
I think the only question I had really raised for this was, there was one
Undetermined.
unshielded, whether potentially unshielded lights that were staying on the garage, should be brought into compliance. If they're unshielded and for security purposes, as long as they've got, say, timers or motion sensors on them, it's something that the board could potentially have, okay as a continuing security measure.
Okay,
But generally, if you're changing a class, a type of lighting on a building or on a
Not changed at
parcel,
all.
you're supposed to bring everything into
Mm-hmm.
compliance. And technically, you're not supposed to have unshielded lights unless they're for security purposes, usually.
And where is that light? That's EL9?
Yes, I think,
Is that you said it's on the
Yeah.
front of the maintenance building?
EL9.
yeah, EL8 and EL9, I think were the ones that were remaining.
So,
I can also find
Yeah.
it in my.
so we did need some kind of confirmation about how they were directed.
Yeah, do you have the
I've got
photos? of
photos. Yeah, I'm
those
just
now?
trying to. Yeah, it's probably gonna be easier if I just go to the photo.
Yeah, the photos have the numbers on them
Yeah.
too, I think.
They did.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. So EL9.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so these,
Seem to be pointing out.
Yeah.
Yep.
It really does look like that.
those look like they can be turned down.
They do look adjustable. So having those lights coming straight down would be okay, right?
Yeah, as long as the light is going below the horizontal.
On
Um,
on the lamp fixture.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or if, I mean, if they need to be facing out because they're pointed towards something where you need the light to go further, it would need to be sort of a timer or security situation so that they're not, or motion sensor situation.
So what is the purpose of those lights? Is it,
So we're trying to noodle through it right now, but a couple of those lights have got to come off. They got to be removed.
Yeah, so there was, I think that the one of those that looked like it needs to be coming off is EL1, based on where you were putting the new lights and where the addition was going. I think
Okay.
EL1 is coming off and EL2 is coming off.
Yeah.
Based on my comparison of the plans, it was EL8 and EL9
So
that,
this is EL8 right here, Joe,
yep.
Okay.
and EL9's right here.
Okay. Got it. Yeah, we have absolutely no problem with switching those out for a compliant light. I mean, no, that's not an issue.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah, so I think, the board can approve it with the permit, could,
Specifying that the lights are compliant.
or they just have to get me, before I issue the permit, I would
Okay.
have to review the lights
Okay, maybe that.
and make sure that the
yeah.
new light fixtures comply.
Okay, that would be good. Board members, questions on that lighting? Okay. So we're once again we're in the architectural standards of buildings must appear similar in mass and scale to structures typical of the neighborhood, match the building and roof forms typical of the neighborhood. Avoid box-like forms. I know, yurts only. That's okay. So it seems that just like, do you have like a, well, I guess I could just look on my application here. It seems like it's very in scale with the building that's there. I mean, it's more appropriately scaled than the other office was, frankly. So that you've increased your what that looks like. And then, the neighborhood around there, what are your two neighbors there?
So Curly Fuels, the
Yeah.
gas station.
And they show that access road, right? Is that right?
Excuse me.
If you're just wondering, if you want to say anything on the record, you got to be sworn in and then come up to the microphone so everybody can hear you.
So Pearly Fuels is on one side of you, is that what you said?
And Agway, yep.
And Agway, okay. So both of those are very large, very commercial properties. It doesn't seem inconsistent with me at all to the neighborhood. It seems like they've actually done a fairly decent job with the facade and trying to break it up and make it interesting and somewhat human leveled and gardens. I'm really interested in avoid the box-like forms for buildings. No, don't even get you started. Okay, never mind.
I wasn't part of drafting the architectural, standards for different zoning districts.
So so this, I guess I'm not sure whether this is more of the river hazard area that I'm thinking about, but just where the utilities are, is that all river hazard?
Oh, you mean like the elevation inside the building type
Yeah.
situation? Yeah, that's all river hazard and that's all been
Okay.
checked out.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, it looked like it had been, but I was just,
Yeah,
I wanted
no,
to make
so-
sure that that's not us.
that is not you.
Okay,
That's a
great.
whole separate set of information that I pulled out of here, including all the specifications on the flood vents and all of that. You guys didn't need to worry about those calculations.
Yeah, there's ships there. Board members in the room, board members on Zoom, any other questions or issues?
Can you take off the share screen so I can see
Yeah, absolutely.
people's faces a little better? Awesome, thank you.
I think we covered the key points. Good catch on the lighting. I think that's
Yeah.
be resolved easily.
Sounds like it. All
And-
right. There it is.
Just as a double check, you guys are all okay with my reasoning on the parking shade trees?
Yes,
Awesome.
that was fine.
Seems like the most efficient way to do it.
Yeah,
Fabulous.
very. So we have anyone interested in making a motion?
That we grant the request for major site plan approval for the construction of a 7,170 square foot addition to the maintenance garage at 378 East Montpelier Road, as presented in application D 2024-0019 and supporting and supplemental materials. Prior to the permit issuance, applicant shall provide the zoning administrator with an updated lighting plan that conforms with section 320.
Second,
Okay, any further discussion?
Yes, that was an excellent motion. Perfect.
yes, it was.
It was. All right, let's do a roll call vote on this then. No further discussion. Alex,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
Rob,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Catherine,
Yes.
and yes for myself as well. Just need to get Meredith a little updated lighting plan and you're good to go.
Thank you.
So we'll get going on the written decision. And that can, if I get done with that first, that'll get issued. But if you get a updated lighting plan with the new lights in those two locations to me ahead of time, then we'll be able to do the decision and the permit at the same time. Otherwise, that's all I'll be waiting for, if the decision comes out first. And I do know I owe you another permit too. So that's in my queue.
Thank you very much for everything.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
You bet.
Great
Good luck.
night.
Just
There it is.
Okay. Has everyone had a chance to review the meeting minutes from the March 18th, 2024 meeting?
I can make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay,
I'll second it.
all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All of those against? Okay, we're good there. The next meeting is April 1st.
Oh, that's
Nope,
today,
that's-
April
yeah.
15th.
April
You were
15th.
looking at the minutes.
I know, I had the minute, that's the agenda in my hand, sorry.
April 15th, there are two applications. One is sketch plan subdivision. And my brain is fritzing right now on what the other one is. They're on the pending applications page. Sorry, it's suddenly very loud out in the hallway. What was the other one? Oh, the other one is a conditional use.
Hang on one
Yeah,
sec.
can you shut the door, Kevin? Thank you. You're awesome. So there's just a two parcel subdivision sketch plan, and then we're going to be revisiting the Vermont College of Fine Arts Library. A different applicant is looking at making that into a performing arts hub.
Which structure?
The library up at Vermont College of Fine Arts, so 35 College Street. And so this is a little bit simpler than the prior proposal.
Which one building, not three?
Yep, it's one building, and they're keeping it also partly more of performing arts academic use. So the basement would be actually classrooms. But the upstairs would be a performance space, both for the classes that are taking place there, but also for visiting artists, and have a little cafe. So take a look at that one in particular, if you can pull it off the pending applications page and get a little look at it ahead of time. It's,
Yeah.
similar but different. So
What's
it's,
happening with the school that is going to?
The engineering.
The engineering school.
They're
Oh,
there.
oh, Greenway's up there.
They're up there?
Yep, they're up there. I think they've signed on multiple buildings. So there's two different, there's the Greenway, and then there's the, school that had been up there. They've expanded
school?
and have, new school has two buildings.
Hmm.
Noble Hall, the big hall, is that?
I always get, because I have to look at the numbers, the addresses so often, I don't always keep track of the
Names.
buildings, but, I think that, you may end up seeing, some sign proposals come up before you for where there's, the big entities that have multiple buildings needing to get waivers for signs because the system up there doesn't quite fit with the regulations, but we've actually have a lot of signs that are waiting for the zoning changes to happen, which hopefully will be this Wednesday, but we'll see.
Okay.
City council keeps surprising us and not adopting anything. I'll keep you posted on that because once they've adopted stuff, you guys will, anybody who has paper copies will need new copies of the zoning regulations.
I know. I'm
And
excited.
even if you just look at them remotely, I'll be giving you new places to go and download. Be a whole nother packet.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
How many stacks do you have, Kevin? Quite a few.
What's that?
How many stacks do you have?
You've been here long enough. You have a lot of paper copies.
I've got a lot of people.
Actually, we lost our old copies. If you have old copies that
I'm
are
not sure.
still,
I did
need
move
some
a
clean
few
house.
years back and I did clear a lot of
if
stuff.
you happen to have any of the old
I'll keep an eye
versions,
out.
let me know.
I know where it
because-
would be if I do have them.
Okay,
So,
because we lost our paper copies of the old ones.
Yep.
Only paper ones.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of electronics, but not the really, really old ones. We lost a lot in the flood.
Yeah.
yeah, that was a tragic
Yeah.
event.
Any further business this evening?
I'll make,
People in the audience were others
yes,
Yes.
Yeah.
yes.
who had nothing better to do.
It's great civic engagement.
Yeah.
People willing to come to the meeting.
Yeah. No, that's good.
It's a way to get out and about. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Well, second.
All those in favor? Aye. Thanks very much. See you guys in 2 weeks.
Thank you. Enjoy the eclipse.
Yeah.